Y'all know how the enemy do. Y'all know he that serpent from Genesis. Y'all know. I'm sitting up here knowing good well. Hey y'all. So I want to just give my testimony on how God delivered me from New Age. Yes, y'all, New Age. I know y'all like pastor's daughter, New Age. What? Yes, y'all. Satan tried to get me, but the testimony of it is that he ain't get me though. So I know it is only my my duty, and it's only right for me to share that testimony for somebody who may be still going through it and who may not be able to see clearly because they're in it. Because when you're in it, you don't really see it right away. So I know for sure there's going to be a part 1 or part 2. So part 1 is going to be me sharing how I got kind of coaxed into it. And then part 2 will be me sharing how God delivered me from it. So if y'all ready to take this journey of a story with me, stay tuned because we finna get into it. Okay, so before I get into how I got into New Age and New Age practices, I think I should give y'all a little bit of background about me. So for those of you who don't know, I am a PK, even though I hate that term. I hate saying PK, but I am a PK. My dad is a pastor. I was raised in the church, grew up in a Christian household. So I knew God. Or I knew of God. I won't say I knew God. I knew of God out the womb, right? Because, I was raised in church and around church and, religion and things of that. So I say that to say that that's my background because people come from different backgrounds. Some people are not raised in church. Some people have no type of church background, no type of God background, but that's where I'm coming from. So, yes, so born and raised in church, PK. So to fast forward, well, me and my family moved to Atlanta, after Katrina hit. So we moved to Atlanta. And so I spent a lot of my teenage years and young adult years in Atlanta. Well, all of my teenage and adult years in Atlanta. So, I did a lot of exploring. I did a lot of, hanging out. I was outside, okay? I'm not going to hold y'all. I was outside. Especially in my early 20s, I was outside. So, growing up, in religion, and I say religion because that's what it is. Like me, I got saved and baptized at 12. So, at 12, you know who Jesus is, you know from what you hear, but you don't really know what a relationship really means with God, right? So I'm baptized, I'm saved at 12. And, while my parents, they tell me now, like there was evidence of me being saved and like I was asking questions and I was, having experiences. But, when you start to becoming a teenager and you start, want to do things on your own and you think you've grown and stuff, that's when you start to learn that there's a difference between relationship and religion. So, teenage years, I was doing my thing. 20s, early 20s, late teens, early 20s. I thought I was grown. I wanted to hang out with my friends. I was dating and I was, outside in the clubs and, I was never like super duper wild child or nothing like that. But, I did explore. I did, enjoy my early 20s. I'm not going to lie. I was outside. We was in the clubs. We was going out. We was hanging out, parties and stuff like that. So your typical teenager, young adult, want to be in a mix. Don't want to miss nothing. Feel like you got to be outside every weekend. That was me. But yeah, I really enjoyed. I would say I enjoyed my early 20s. I won't say nothing from it. I learned a lot. Um, all that to say, I think that's when my spiritual journey really started, and you know, that's why I said when you're in it, it's hard to see because you're so in it. So yeah, I think that's around the time where my relationship the journey with my relationship with God really started. So, yeah, so at this time I was attending the church with my family, and yes, I was one of those kids that I might be in I might be in the club on Saturday and show up at church on Sunday, and I might go, you know, to the altar for rededication or prayer because I'm like, I was just in the club, and you know how the pastor always said in one line, if Jesus come back today, will you be ready? I'm just like, oh Lord, based off of last night, let me go up there. So I was one of them people, one of them ones, so I would go up often for prayer, go up often for rededication, just because I wanted to be right with God or ready when God came back, not realizing that what I really needed was a relationship with God. And I'm being in all seriousness because a lot of times we're told, oh, God gives us grace. You just got to repent of your sins and God forgives you. You good. As long as you save, you good. And we grow up in that. And, not that it's being told to us in malice or to harm us on purpose, but I think it kind of gives us the impression that all we have to do is just be saved and get baptized and we good. Like nothing else is required. But it's not till we get older and get deeper in our walk with Christ that we realize it requires a relationship, not religion. So let me get into how I started getting into my relationship with God. I had religion. I had religion since childhood. Got baptized at 12. Got saved at 12, baptized at 12. So now I want to get into how I got into a relationship with God. And this kind of kicked off my journey. And I say journey to put it light, but it was a lot. It was a lot. But I would say journey and spiritual warfare. So stay tuned for the next part. Okay, y'all. So fast forward. I'm now, I want to say either 25 or 26. I think I was 25 or 26. Y'all, I have a bad time. I have a bad time remembering like exactly like dates and stuff like that. But I know I was in my mid to late 20s. And so I started dating this guy, and I won't mention no names. I'll give him a name. I'm gonna say A. I started dating this guy named A. We had met online. Of course, I was on what they call the apps. I was on all the apps talking to different people, not even realizing like that itself is spiritual. So, I was on the apps. I was online dating. And then, I had started talking to this guy, and we kind of hit it off. We was having a lot of stuff in common. We found out we had went to the same school. At some point in time, we had a lot of things, in common. So, we kind of hit it off. We started, meeting up, talking more, going on dates. But, we really dating heavy to the point where, I met his people, he met my people. And, things was cool. And then it's like one day, it just, that switch came on. Ladies, y'all know what that switch is. Just like, he go from we good to, okay, what's going on? Like, what happened? So it just like one day we just wasn't good. And, how you start to go through that period where it's like, well, what did I do? Did I do something? Was it me? Y'all, ladies, y'all know. Y'all know. Because I know I'm talking to some of my ladies right now, too. Mostly my guys, too. But yeah, ladies, y'all know. So, of course, I start going down this rabbit hole of, like, looking up, trying to figure out what I done did. I'm on Google. I'm on YouTube. Like, 13 reasons why he may be ignoring you and blah, 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 blah. I'm talking about stuff I had no business. Like, what was I looking for, really? Like, if the man ain't texting back, if he ain't calling back, what am I looking for? The answer's right there. If I was who today, I'm just telling y'all, God just is amazing. That's all I got to say. God did it. The person you see sitting on this camera with you today, totally different person from 3-4 years ago. And I thank God for it, because the wisdom, the knowledge, just things he impressed on me, like stuff that back then I'm like, girl, what was you doing? Like, but I'm grateful, I'm blessed for it. Amen. When he do it. So yeah, just started getting real curious and started, fumbling around Google and YouTube. So I was on YouTube one day and, typing in random questions like 10 reasons he might be ignoring you, or reason why your relationships or your dating life may be in shambles. All kind of crazy stuff. Like, I'm exaggerating, but it was, So I'm on YouTube one day and I'm, looking at this video. You know how they suggest videos on the side for you to watch next. So it was this young black lady popped up, and it basically, I know the caption says something along the lines of like, this is why he's been acting strange. It was something like, it wasn't exactly that, y'all, but it was something like, the fact was I was looking for answers, and the title of her video seemed like it had an answer to my question. So I click on it. Young, beautiful black woman, had never seen her before, never heard of her before. So I click on it, and so she introduces herself. And I notice when a video comes on, she's sitting at a table. And, she starts talking about different stuff, I guess stuff she had coming up, because, she had a good little following and stuff. So I'm sitting there, I'm watching it, didn't think nothing of it. So she starts talking, and she was like, yeah, so for this reading today, I said, wait, what? Did she say reading? And so when she pans in, she has a table full of tarot cards, y'all. Tarot cards, yes. I know. So I'm sitting there, and me being from New Orleans, it's stereotypical. Everybody think we into voodoo and stuff. Like, let me tell y'all, the locals don't mess with that stuff. That we know not to mess with no voodoo and all that stuff. So we never mess with it. Okay. So I had heard of tarot, and I knew tarot was, one of them things in New Orleans that was a big deal. And we just knew it was bad. We never really knew exactly what it was. But let me tell you how the enemy works, right? So, I'm sitting there, I'm listening to her, and I'm like, well, I'm not really getting my palm read, or I'm not really sitting in a tarot shop. She just gonna talk about some things, I'm watching on video. Can it really be bad? Can it really do harm? Y'all know how the enemy do. Y'all know he that serpent from Genesis. Y'all know. I'm sitting up here knowing good well I ain't supposed to be watching this, but kept watching. So, let me tell you how slick he is, y'all. So right before she got into the reading, she was like, well, before we get into this reading, I want to do a quick prayer. Y'all, she said this prayer, and even though she was praying, it just didn't sound like, my spirit was not resonating with it. And I knew she was saying something about spirit guides, holy angels, call the spirit guides and cover this reading. Like, it just sounded so not right. So I'm up here still watching it. So she gets into the reading, finishes the reading, and it might have been like maybe like 10 minutes long. It wasn't so bad, but she pretty much was just saying stuff, based on the title. And y'all, when I tell y'all, it's almost like she read my mind. It's almost like she had entered my life. Like, everything I was going through, everything I was experiencing, she said in that video. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, wow, like, this lady just read my whole life. She don't even know me. She don't even know I'm watching this video. Y'all stay tuned. So it got to the point, y'all, after that first time I watched her, I started watching her like maybe like every day, at least once a day. It went from maybe once or twice a day to like all day, every day. I'm talking about before work, after work, getting ready for work, on the way to work. I'm listening. Just, it got crazy, y'all. And it was like, I didn't even, at the time, I didn't realize I was getting like addicted to this. Like, it was almost like, you know how people, like, you may fall down or something and scrape your knee as a child, and they come kiss your scar, and they put a band-aid on it. It's like the scar is still there, you know, it still hurt a little bit, but that kiss just made it, you know, just made it feel better. So it's almost like she was kissing that scar. It was like the answers I didn't have, you know, things I was, you know, dealing with, I didn't have answers to. She was, in my mind, it felt like she was answering them. How y'all notice the enemy. So y'all, I got to the point where I actually had subscribed to her channel. I have turned on my notification bell. So every time she uploads something new, I'm the first one up watching it. Maybe not the first one, but I was up there. And so yeah, I just started watching all her stuff. Before you know it, I started watching other tarot readers. And then around that same time, because that's around the time that COVID also hit. So, you know, we was in the house and there was a lot of stuff going on mentally, you know, a lot of things going on, and everybody was just confused. Everybody's mental state was just out of whack. And I admit my mental state was not the best during COVID, just because we had not experienced nothing like that before. So I was trying to find ways to just really cope and, you know, just find healthy ways to channel that energy to other, you know, besides spending time with God and praying, of course, but and spending time with my family, just trying to find outlets, as I think we all was trying to do. So one of my outlets, things that I started getting into, was yoga and meditation. When I say that enemy, boy, he is slick, okay? So I started getting up in the mornings, you know, doing about an hour of yoga and meditation before I did anything else. And at the time, I felt like it was helping. I was doing breathing exercises. Then it got to the point I started trying to rise with the sun and do yoga while the sun was coming up, and I was playing these channeling, I don't know what you call them, but they be on YouTube too, like the little music, like the energy channeling music, and you know, all of that stuff. And not thinking nothing of it. I'm thinking I'm healing myself. I'm thinking, you know, I'm doing something good. And it just started to add on. It's just like building blocks. Like, started with the tarot, then it went to yoga. And y'all might say, what's bad about yoga? I'm going to get into that. But I started doing yoga, meditating. Then it got to the point where I was starting to get into goddess worship, feminine energy, excuse me, goddess worship, you know, feminine power and things like that, manipulation and things of that. Like, it gets real deep, y'all. Y'all really gotta look it up. It gets real deep. Not realizing the whole time I'm on a slippery slope, right? Because I'm now getting to the point where I'm like, well, I'm a god as well. I'm a goddess. You know, I can look inside, look into myself, you know, to manifest the things that I want. And people, you know, manifestation gets mixed. You know, it's a very touchy subject because some people believe that manifestation is the way. But if you're a believer, we know that prayer and faith is the way, right? And that through prayer and faith, God supplies all our needs. When we start talking about manifestation alone, that's different. That means that you're relying on the universe and you're relying on yourself to get what you need. So that's how the enemy, excuse me, let me get some water. So yeah, that's how the enemy gets us, because he tries to get us to the way I put it is, he tries to get us to feel like we don't need God for anything. And I really feel like that's where he was taking me. And that's where I was headed, because I was getting to the point where I started questioning God. Like, well, God, you say wait on you, but, you know, why do I have to wait on you if I could just manifest this and, it comes to me, or I could just write it in a journal and, it comes to me. So really getting into self being a God, a lowercase God, which is idol worship, which is against God, and I'm educating as I'm explaining my journey, because it's important to understand how subtle this stuff is, because it doesn't come across as bad. It comes across as, oh, I'm healing, I'm going within myself. I'm finding out what I need for myself. But anything that replaces God, even yourself, is idol worship. So yeah, I was getting into it. It got to a point where, and I didn't even realize until after I got out of it, y'all, and that's how heavy it was. So I want to say this was around 2021 that I was, between late 2020 and early 2021, is when I kind of was getting deeper into it. And around that time, y'all, I kid you not, it felt like something was just sitting on my chest. Like, I'm talking about, it just felt like my chest was so heavy. And I might have went to the emergency room probably 2 or 3 times within a 6-7 month span. And I had never been to the emergency room for nothing. I think I had went one time when my leg had had blew up or something. Not blew up, but it got real big. So I think I went to let them check out my leg. But other than that, I had never really been to the ER for anything. And I wasn't really picking up on this because, like I said, at the time, I was blinded. Like, I was in it. So I kept going to the emergency room. They kept doing tests. They wouldn't find anything. And, a couple of days would go by, I'd be fine. And again, I would just feel like something was on my chest, almost like I could breathe, but it was like I'd be short of breath. One night I woke up gasping for air, like, and I'm telling my mom, my dad, I just feel like it's pressure on my chest. And mind you now, at the time I was dealing with diabetes. I was dealing with, high blood pressure. So it's not like I didn't have any health things going on. So I'm thinking it's something dealing with that. And I'm thinking, okay, is it something with my health? I also had PCOS I was dealing with, still deal with. For those that are dealing with that, I just wanted to share that with you. But yeah, so I was dealing with different health issues. So it's not like I was like, well, it could be something that I'm dealing with. But yeah, I always felt like someone was just weighing on my chest. And that's going to play a major part later. That's why I'm making it so significant. But yeah, I would just, random parts of the day, I'd be at work, just feel like my chest was heavy. Wake up in the morning just feeling heavy, like all over my body. And, I would pray and, I would still feel heavy. I would do my yoga. And while I was doing yoga and meditating, it would go away, but then it would come back. So this went on for a few months, But it's one of the things that you just I kind of learned to live with it, because I was like, okay, it's probably just a side effect from my medication or from my health, that's what I was thinking. But yeah, y'all, so by now it's 2021 and I'm watching tarot, doing yoga, I'm meditating, I'm practicing goddess worship, or I don't know what they call it. It's like you're a god as well. You can go within yourself. You have the power, manipulation, manipulating to get what you want. I think they call it like dark feminine, something like that. I gotta look it up. But I was getting into that scripting, manifesting, Yeah, all of that. I had crystals. I didn't have many crystals, but I had a couple of little bracelets or whatever. At one point, I attempted to sage, but it didn't really, it didn't light. So I thank God for that. If I say what's wrong with saging, I'll right before I get into part 2, I'll do a part 1.5 to tell you about yoga and about saging and how Satan uses that as well. But that's it for part 1, y'all. So stay tuned for part 1.5. And I'll explain part 1.5 and part 2, and I explain yoga and saging, and then we'll jump into how God delivered me from it. Oh, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if this video resonated with you. And definitely feel free to share. And I will see y'all on the next one. All right. Y'all be blessed.